Hydra Fusions. All right, so you guys bought Hydra Fusions. These were just like, in so many ways, this was a huge game changer in the lifting world, okay? Paratech makes 3 Hydra Fusions, a 4-inch, a 10-inch, and a 16-inch. Okay? 10-inch is definitely the sweet spot, right? If you had a ton of like light rail, the 4-inch might be a consideration, right? Because you're down underneath on tracks, real low insertion point, but you got bags, right? So you kind of address that issue with bags. Okay? 16 is a lot, right? So this strut is 20, you can see it's 25 and a half, almost 25 and a half inches just to this. So the 16 is up here. You can imagine that additional 8 inches really is difficult sometimes to get underneath a hard point on a frame rail or something, right? So 10, in my mind, is the sweet spot because I can add length to here, okay? So in itself, it is a strut. It has the same Acme threads, right? 10 tons or 20,000 pounds, so I can lift 20,000 pounds, 10 inches. When I lock the collar down, I have the same 20,000 pound 4-to-1 strut. So I can lift it, lock the collar down, and now act as a stabilization strut in addition to the lifting strut and stabilize 8,000 pounds. Okay? So this is just a piston in here, right, that extends 10 up. This is the hydraulic pump. Comes standard with a 6-inch hose. You can buy extensions for these if you want it to be longer. I haven't really found a dire need for that, but they do make extensions. Okay. Pump, again, just a standard, it's like a hydraulic jack, guys. It's like a bottle jack on steroids. That's all it is. It's just 2 pieces versus 1 piece. So in a bottle jack, you've got the reservoir and the piston all in one, right? You pump. Here, I've got the reservoir and a piston here, and I'm just pushing it into this separate piece, okay? When you guys store these, make sure that this valve is always left in the open position, which is left. Okay? That way, if the handle jams or whatever, you don't build up pressure in here. Okay? Just push connect. Okay, then spin the collar to lock it. Okay, choose your base, whatever that is. Okay. Anchor ring always in case I want to secure the base. Now in this instance, I can turn this directly into a strut just by putting the converter in there and putting my base on there. So if I'm going to do a low point frame lift right here, this is all I would probably use. Okay, we can kind of demonstrate this on the engine. Okay, then I got this hooked up. I simply righty-tighty, okay, finger tight, okay, and then I start to pump. And as I start to pump, you see the starting to go up, right? So I've got a 2-to-1 safety at 80,000 or 20,000 pounds lift. If I spin the collar down as I'm chasing it, I've increased it to a 4-to-1. Okay? So as I'm going up, every once in a while I'll just spin this down and hit it on the collar. Okay? I got 10 inches of lift, right? Hydra Fusion 10, right? Or an HFS 10 tells you I got 10 inches of lift. When you hit 10 inches of lift, it'll deadhead the piston and won't lift anymore. Okay, as I'm lifting, I'm spinning the collar. Okay, and there it is, right? All done. 20,000 pound lift capacity, right? So you guys have 2 of them, so you can lift 40,000 pounds. It's a lot of weight. Half a tractor trailer on this side. Okay. Occasionally you'll have a situation where you'll need to lower it, right? And you can just span the collar off just a little bit and you're just barely gonna crack and feather this, okay, until you get movement. There it is, right? And then you just slowly let it bleed down, right? And if I wanna go all the way down with this, I can just spin the collar every once in a while and I can chase it with the collar all the way down, right? Okay. Or, vehicle's on, it's, you know, whatever, you guys are training, whatever, it's like, all right, everyone back away, right? And then you can just open this up and it'll just come down. Okay. You'll notice that this has a red piece of tape on it. This has a red piece of tape on it, okay? Really good practice to color code your pumps and your Hydra Fusions. Okay? And the reason being is that inevitably, if you're not doing that, you're going to start to transfer fluid from one pump to another pump, and you're going to end up with too much in one and not enough in the other. Make sense? Okay. The key point here is to make sure that you allow this to go all the way down so that you put all the fluid back in there. Otherwise, you're going to lose out on lift capacity. Make sense? Okay. If you have different Hydra Fusions, it's absolutely critical. Because if you take the 16 pump and you put it on a 4, you can blow the seals, and if you take the 4 pump, put it on the 16, you're only going to get 4 inches of lift. Right? But a best practice is to color code them. So you notice I have red and red, and I have green and green. And just always make sure that those colors match when you're hooking up. Now, let's say my insertion point was much taller than that. Okay? So that's not going to hit. I'm trying to go to the top of, let's say for some reason I'm going to lift off the top of that, that forklift there. Okay? I can put these struts and extensions in the Hydra Fusion to meet my insertion point. Okay? So let's say I needed about another 3 inches, or 3 feet rather, of lift. Okay, so there's 2. Take my 12, and again, strut extensions always on the non-moving end. Okay, put that in the Hydra Fusion, pull the pin, lock it. Now I put my base. I don't need the converter. Okay. So now I've just extended my Hydra Fusion to 3 feet, and to make sure that I don't lose any of my 10 inches of lift, I can just extend this up, make contact, spin the collar down. Now when I lift, I have all 10 inches of lift. So, okay, you can build this up off cribbing. Let's say that you ran out of extensions, right? I can build cribbing up, again, within the confines to make sure it's a stable platform, right? And increase my insertion. Okay. The same rule applies. 1, 2, 3 inside the Hydra Fusion, the 1 to 1 inside the Hydra Fusion. If I have a really high insertion point and my grays aren't going to make it, the Hydra Fusion accepts the golds as well. Okay? For a long time, there was a misnomer that it was a special Hydra Fusion for the gold. I'm like, no, it works. Like, no, it doesn't fit. I go, yeah, that little ring slides down when you put the 3.5 in there, right? So you see why I would put. So when I'm chasing, I put the collar. Okay. The non-moving end always goes in here. Now, Paratech does make an adapter. Not many places buy it, but you can see that sometimes it would be advantageous to have the collar down, right? What you can't do, unless you have the adapter, is put this end, and I'll do it with a gray because it's a little easier. What you can't do is cheat this thing and put this in here like that. And then you're like, okay, well, first, it's very hard to lock, right? I tell people, if it's difficult, it's probably not designed to be used that way, right? Paratech is pretty intuitive. It should be very simple. Okay, so first I have a locking issue because I got to spin this to try to get it on there, right? And then the other problem is I don't have solid contact throughout the shaft, right? So they do make an adapter. I have them in the trailer if you want to see them. Not a lot of agencies buy them because, again, typically, if we need to extend our lifting, we typically do it with the grays, and then we'll chase with the golds, and we'll put the golds and then invert the collar down. Makes sense? So I just haven't found a lot of need to buy those adapters, but they do make them. FDNY was emphatically requiring, yeah. So, of course, FDNY, 300 sets of Paratech, I guess they figured, okay, we'll engineer one for FDNY. Okay. If I don't need a strut, let's say I only needed 12 inches of extension. Okay, so that gives me 25, right? That's too much. I can put the extension in here, take the strut inverter, right, and do that as well. Right? So you have a lot of adjustability with the struts. Okay? And the same adjustability inside your Hydra Fusion to match your insertion. Guys with me? Yeah. Okay. Questions about Hydra Fusion? Okay, so 10 tons, right? 20,000 pounds. 10 inches of lift.